Bonjour! This week we'll be starting the last module of the semester. This is Module 5 in our textbook. This week we'll be talking about 3 new irregular verbs, the verbs vouloir, pouvoir, and devoir. Let's look at how they work. To start off with, let's look at the verb vouloir. The 3 of them are conjugated similarly, but there are some little differences, so we'll look at them closely and individually. Vouloir means to want, and it's a great verb to have in your repertoire. To conjugate the verb in the present tense, we say je veux, tu veux, il veut, elle veut, on veut, nous voulons, vous voulez, ils volent, elles volent. You might use this verb, of course, to talk about things that you want. Je veux aller au cinéma. Je veux sortir au restaurant. The next verb in this chapter is pouvoir, which means to be able to, or to can. I can speak French. I can read. I can drive. This is conjugated in a way that's similar to the other verb, the last verb we just learned, vouloir. Je peux, tu peux, il peut, elle peut, on peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent, elles peuvent. And lastly, the verb devoir, which means to have to or to must. I must go to the store. I have to study. Je dois, tu dois, il doit, elle doit, on doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent, elles doivent. Let's look at some examples using these 3 verbs. Tu veux aller au concert? Do you want to go to the concert? And you can see here that we're using 2 verbs. Often the verb want is followed by a second verb. Do you want to go? And notice that the second verb is always in the infinitive. That means not conjugated. You wouldn't say, do you want go to the concert? Ma sœur ne peut pas y aller. My sister can't go. And again, we've got a second verb here, not conjugated in the infinitive. My sister can't go. Ne peut pas y aller. Je dois travailler. I have to work. And again, a second verb in the infinitive that means not conjugated, whereas the first verb is conjugated. The verb devoir can also mean to owe, as in to owe someone something. When you want to use it this way, you might say something like this. Je dois 10 euros à mon père. I owe my father 10 euros. Now, look at the construction of the sentence here. It's a little bit different than English. In English, we say I owe, and then the person to whom we owe, and then lastly, the amount in this case of money. In French, we switch those 2 things. I owe 10 euros to my father is actually the word order here. Je dois 10 euros à mon père. Sometimes we use these verbs in a tense that we call the conditional tense. We do the same thing in English, and this is to make something a little bit more polite. Tu veux sortir ce soir? Do you want to go out tonight? Versus tu voudrais sortir ce soir? Would you like to go out tonight? To answer, you might say something like j'aimerais sortir ce soir. I would like to go out tonight. It's sort of the difference between going to a restaurant and asking your server, I want a Coke, versus I would like a Coke. To conjugate the verbs in the conditional for the politeness, this is how you do it. For vouloir, je voudrais, tu voudrais, il, elle, on voudrait, nous voudrions, vous voudriez, il voudrait. The other one that we use frequently this way is the verb aimer. J'aimerais, tu aimerais, il, elle, on aimerait, nous aimerions, vous aimeriez, ils aimeraient. Now, really, we're going to use most often the boldface forms here. Je, tu, and il and elle. The rest of the verbs, don't worry about. That's not something we need to know until much later. And really, this is, at this point, shown only for recognition. All right, so in this lecture, so far, we've talked about 3 new irregular verbs. The verb vouloir, the verb pouvoir, and the verb devoir. We said that the verb devoir had 2 meanings, to have to, but also to owe. And we talked about the way to form that sentence structure. Lastly, we said that we can use the conditional form of the verb vouloir or aimer to make a polite request. We'll be working on this in class this week. If you have any questions, just email me.